Gear Obsession channel. I live in a state where I cannot conceal carry, but I've always carried a pocket knife. Now my state does not have a limit on the size of the pocket knife, so I decided, since I lack firepower, that I'd go ahead and upgrade my everyday carry to something a little bit bigger, since it's fine in my state. So the ideal solution is to look for a large tactical folder. And by the introduction to this video, you noticed that I had finally purchased, on the recommendation of many folks here on YouTube, the Cold Steel Recon 1. I've been carrying this around for about a week, and let me tell you, I love it. So, you know, again, this is a large tactical folder. Now, it's made in Taiwan. I do have a lot of notes to go over here, so this is going to be a long video, but this is going to be the most detailed Recon 1 video you'll ever see. So Cold Steel makes their products in the US as well as Japan and Taiwan, and this particular one's made in Taiwan, but it's fine as long as it's done right, and it is done right. Retail price on the website is about $120. I paid the unbelievable low price on Amazon of about $55. You can find it as low as $49, but I wanted to get from a distributor that I knew, which was actually Amazon, instead of an unknown. I'd rather pay $5 to make sure I'm getting the real thing and not a fake. So I'm going to bring in, and we'll go ahead and start going over specifications and other things. So this knife came stuffed in this little box, wrapped in this bubble wrap, and it also came with a left-handed carry clip. These clips are contoured, so you need a different clip for the left side if you want to go ahead and left-hand carry. This is is blade up carry only. So let's go ahead and whiz through these specifications. I don't want to bore you to death, but there are some people out there who would like to know. Overall length is 9 3/8 inches long. Weight is 5.2 ounces. The other models, such as the Clip Point or the new for 2012 Spear Point, weigh 5.3 ounces. And this is the tonneau style here. The handle length is 5 3/8 inches, and the handle material is really thick slabs of G10. You can see there's no metal or steel liners in there like the last version. This version, the Generation 2, came out in 2010, and they went ahead and got rid of the steel liners to reduce the weight. Now there's an aluminum spacer here between the two G10 slabs. I call them slabs, scales, handle. And that is 6061 grade aluminum. Also here we have a contoured clip. And you can see it's relatively small for the handle. Some people don't like that. I do, and I'll show you why here shortly. And again, if you put one on this side and they have an extra set of screws here, which I like, you go ahead and use the left-handed clip, and you can put that on there. I mean, if you want, you could have clips on both sides if you want, but that's be kind of goofy now, wouldn't it? Now, while we're in this area of the clip here, you can see there's a lanyard hole right there. You could probably get 550 cord in there with no problem. It might be a little bit of a tight fit, but that's fine. And let's talk about, now that I have this in my hand in front of you, the ergonomics. This knife has unbelievable ergonomics. For the Generation 2 here, they reshaped the handle, and they did a great job in making something that's so comfortable. It's unbelievable how good it feels. You wouldn't think so by the way it looks, but it is. You got two sort of choils here, really nice, that lock in your fingers. You have one of the grippiest textures on a knife that I've ever felt, and it just locks into your hand. Unbelievable. Even reverse grip, your fingers just lock in right there. Your thumb just comes over the shape of the handle on the back, and it just locks in. So really good ergonomics. Now, as I had already stated, this is a tip-up carry, left or right-handed. And if you are left-handed, by the way, besides having to change the clip, you have to go ahead and unscrew this thumb stud and move it to the other side. I don't understand why they just didn't make them the same size, but whatever, you know, maybe they saved a 0.1 ounce by doing that, but I think they just should have made it an ambidextrous thumb stud. Now, another thing about this thumb stud is that you see there's a lot of space between the grip and that thumb stud, so your thumb has no problem getting behind it. You don't have to worry about slipping, and it has a good amount sticking out with enough knurling, or it's not really knurling, but grooves there where your finger is not going to slide. So let me see if I could go ahead and snap this out. Okay, so what you're looking at is a 4-inch blade. Now they do have some other models that just came out this year where you could get like a 3-inch blade. Recon, the mini Recons. But the regular Recons, you're talking about a 4-inch blade. This is a big blade. It's also rather thick. You're looking at, you know, stock here of 3.5 millimeters thick. So very thick. And of course the tonneau blade, which I like, maintains that thickness way down closer to that point. So you get a very, very strong point there, which is why I love the tonneau blades. And you get, you know, 2 edges, so you could get a good snap cut with this other point here, and you could stab through anything with this thing. The Cajun Blaze, which is another YouTube channel, which is really good, he's stabbed and abused this knife like no tomorrow. I've seen him stab a nickel with this thing and not break the tip. Stab wood, stab sheet metal. Really impressive. This is the most abused knife on YouTube. There's a million reviews out there, and I'm not going to abuse mine because enough people have already done it. But it can just stab through everything. So let's get back to the blade here. It's a hollow ground, but it's a very high hollow ground, so it's almost a flat grind because it's so high. So it's still a good slicer, even though that's not its, you know, intent. And it's coated with this black coating with my fingerprints all over it. And this coating is very close to Teflon. They call it Tough X, but it's a Teflon coating, and it comes off very easy. It flakes off very easy. That's probably one of the cons for this knife. The coating on here really doesn't stand up to a lot, but it's one of the cheapest coatings, so that's what keeps the price down on this. And the steel on this is AUS-8 steel, or AUS-8A steel, which is comparable to, for those of you who know the 440 steel, is about 440B. It's actually, I would say it's an excellent choice for a blade of this size, because you don't want something harder, and even when you get harder, you get more brittle. And I think AUS-8 is a very good compromise. You know, by keeping it, instead of brittle, it keeps it more tough. It'll give a little bit before breaking. So it's a good compromise with toughness, strength, edge holding, and resistance to corrosion. This sharpens up really easy, so you can maintain a good hair shaving edge on this thing with no problem. So is it sharp? Well, I have a piece of paper here. We can go ahead and test this out. Nice and slow there. Do it fast too. So you can see it's razor sharp. I did touch it up, of course, but it came, trust me, it came this sharp when I got it out of the box. So I was cutting some plastic conduit just before this video, and it did an outstanding job. Now, while we're here, let's go ahead and fold this up, and I want you to see that the blade centering is as perfect as you can get. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy when my knife has perfect blade centering. I could sleep better at night. Now let's talk about the lock. The last generation lock, the older version, had a lock like this. This is my old AK-47, and it had this easy lock, or whatever they want to call it. It's very easy to open and close compared to the cold steel, but actually closing it's a little bit tricky. You got to sort of pull back with both fingers because you really just can't get it back enough with one finger. Never was a real big fan of this this type of lock, and that's why I didn't end up carrying it as my large folder that I wanted to carry now. So this has a more traditional looking lock. It has a lock back, but it's not your everyday normal lock back. This is called the Triad lock. It's one of the strongest locks on the market, and let me show you some reasons why. I have here a K-bar mule. Now, this is also a lock back, and I want to just bring this blade out, and you could see how far that lock comes up. Or you could almost barely see how far that lock comes up. And I'll leave that like this. Now let's take a look at the Recon 1. Look how far that thing is coming up. And it's going to dive down deep into that blade. Unbelievable. Now, so that keeps the blade from, negative force from folding back on itself. Now, when a blade has positive force being pushed up, like a more conventional, like here in the K-bar mule, it's going to push back up against the actual lock here. Well, on the Recon, what you have is a stop pin right in there. You can see that pin right there. And that pin ends up resting against the back of the blade here in this groove. So all your positive pressure is against this pin and not against the lock. And then for your negative pressure, then the lock is deep into the back of that blade holding it. This thing has absolutely no blade play whatsoever. Unbelievable how strong this is. This is so strong that Cold Steel did a test, and there's a video on YouTube where they put the blade in a vise and they hang 200 pounds of weight out here at the very end of the handle, and it's holding 200 pounds. That's crazy. But you know what? I feel very comfortable knowing that that blade is not going to fold up on my hand, unlike a more conventional. As a matter of fact, not to really sort of take a turn here, but this K-bar mule, which I really like, but they had a bunch of blades that had a problem with this folding back up on itself. And when you're skirting the edge there by not letting it get that deep in there, that can happen. Although this, I've never had that problem, but other people have. That's not going to happen with the Recon 1. And the blade deployment is so smooth. Now it's a little tricky to one-handed close this thing, because you got to really push this lock in really far, and then you just sort of notch it over. Practice carefully, because this thing can spring back and, cut your finger off. So, other reasons why this thing is so smooth, by the way, is because the back of this blade, where it's going to rub and push up on the lock back here, is polished really nice and smooth. And it also has phosphor bronze washers deep inside here, which there's no way I'm going to be able to show you those. And really, really smooth, but you have to overcome this lock coming all the way up. So it's a strong lock. So you really gotta, sort of load that energy up behind your thumb and use some wrist action to get this thing open. Cons. Okay, here we go. Let me fold this up before I go over this particular cod. You have a clip on here that's very short. However, it's made very, very tight. This is the stainless steel. It has so much power, and it's pushing up against one of the grippiest textures on a scale you'll ever see. So there are videos where people sand this down, or they fill it up with JB Weld or something underneath this clip to smooth out the texture. What I've done is I took some sandpaper, some fine sandpaper, by the way. This is I don't know, probably somewhere around 200 grit, and I sort of, it's hard to get around the camera here, sorry. What I did was was I went ahead and get the sandpaper underneath this clip. And I put the rough side down and pulled up on this clip. And this is very hard, trust me. And I did that. And then I pulled it like this. So what it's doing is it's sanding right where this is pushing down on the scale. So I did that a couple of times to go ahead and try to sand down just a little bit the pressure point right there. And then after I did that, I took some material and I shoved that underneath it just to sort of try to polish it a little bit and ran that back and forth just a little bit like that. So what that did was it just sort of dulled the edges underneath where this clip is pressing down on the scale, and now it's easier to get in and out of your pocket. However, you can't tell that I did anything to this. I didn't want to ruin the pleasing aesthetics of my brand new knife. Other cons is the finish. This finish comes off with very little abuse. You will totally trash this rather quickly if you use it even lightly. The thumb stud has to be reversed. It's not ambidextrous. They should have made that ambidextrous. Here's another thing that I don't think anyone has said anything about. Here's this little choil right here. See that choil? What that choil is it's a small recess at the shoulder of the knife blade where the cutting edge is supposed to begin. It's supposed to begin right there. This provides clearance or a run out when you're sharpening the knife. Well, you can see they didn't bring the edge all the way to that choil, the sharpened edge. And that should have been all the way there. Whether that's on every knife or just mine, I don't know. And the last con is the warranty. The warranty is only a 1-year warranty. I would have liked to see some sort of limited lifetime warranty on this, but they give you a 1 year, and they also state that you better have your receipt. Now I'm going to show you why I absolutely love this small clip. Because when you put it in your pocket, it looks like you have a small knife, not a 4-inch blade, large tactical folder in your pocket. So I really like the fact that it's a small blade, but this thing is so tight, you don't have to worry about it falling out. Now, if you don't smooth the edge underneath this blade, it's very hard to pull out of your pocket, but since I did that little sandpaper trick, it will come out. So I think I've got a good balance here between still keeping it very tight, where I could be upside down and this is not going to fall out, but it can come out without tearing my pants up, which is the way it comes out of the box. Whoops. So really, really cool. Highly recommended. Probably one of the best large tactical folders on the market today. Alright, this is probably long enough. So you can see my new EDC knife is basically it. Now, I'm going to be doing an EDC video coming up soon too. I've had people just bugging the living crap out of me. Hey, how about let me see your EDC? I tend not to do a lot of EDCs because I don't get to concealed carry. So I don't kind of feel like it would be very interesting to folks, but folks keep on asking, so I'll go ahead and throw an EDC video out here shortly. So thank you very much for joining me here at the Gear Obsession channel. I really appreciate every friend, viewer, and subscriber as always. I really do appreciate you. Have a great evening.